Hey wrestling fans, welcome to One Wing Wrestling, where we help you navigate the complex world of pro wrestling, bring you the best matches, world-class wrestlers, and news you can count on. At One Wing Wrestling, we bring the elite to you. I'm your host, Christian Dhanai, and joining me as always is Mr. Bill Cubbush. Bill, how's it going?
As I always say, it moves. So those of you who don't necessarily know yet, because we've only been at this one for a couple weeks, this is our show where you can find the elite worldwide. We're going to give you some news updates, news that you can count on, of course, recommended matches, our wrestlers of the week. Sometimes we do a spotlight on someone, a prospect we think, we should watch, and hopefully you'll watch along with us. Or, maybe a long-standing wrestler that you probably haven't heard of, and we probably may not have heard of before then either, but should have. But anyway, yeah, it's Monday here. It is a very rainy Monday in Toronto. Apparently, there's large swaths of the city blacked out right now. Good times.
Yeah, apparently that's what I've been hearing too. Some people were saying that there's power outages. I didn't experience anything.
No, me neither.
So yeah, no, that was, I didn't realize. Like, I mean, I'm looking outside. I'm like, it's windy. It rained, I guess, a little bit because I see the floors wet out there. I didn't notice it was raining. But yeah, nothing crazy that I saw or didn't see, I guess, unless like a
Right.
tornado just ran right by the house and I just didn't notice anything. But yeah, no, I didn't see anything.
That can happen. Tornado whipping by the house. You don't notice. Happens all the time.
Yeah.
Anyway. Cool. Yes. Well, we have a bit of a busy show today, I think. We have a bit to
Mhm.
talk about. So
Mhm.
why don't we get right into it?
Cool. Let's do it.
Okay. Well, we have a few news items to discuss.
Mhm.
I think the first one that's of note is that on Rampage, Stu Grayson, Canadian, made his return to AEW in Toronto when he appeared along with the rest of the Dark Order in a backstage segment. It is currently unclear what his status is right now with AEW, but it's kind of encouraging that he was at least there.
Yeah,
What do you
no,
think?
this is good news. This is a good thing. Like we when Stu Grayson left AEW, it was kind of a shocker to us because him and Evil Uno were the original Dark Order, right? So it was kind of weird that he left and like they were like, oh yeah, I know Dark Order continues, but it wasn't the same. Like him and Evil Uno being the tag team, like they've been a tag team like for a very long time. And all the moves that they have, like they're a great tag team. I just didn't understand, like, so Uno's staying, Grayson's gone. Now Uno's getting thrown into these like trios matches, or he's getting crushed on the side on one-on-one matches. So yeah, I was very, very confused because it was one of those, another kind of AEW original bites the dust, right?
Hmm.
So I am happy. I didn't even know that he showed up, but I'm happy that Stu Grayson is back. Like, listen, he showed up on Rampage in a segment. He's back. He's been aired on TV, so he's back. I'm happy to hear that because he's a great wrestler. He's so fast, and he's such a good tag team member with Evil Uno that this was a loss for AEW, and I'm glad they got him back. So I don't know what happened. I don't know the story around it. I'm just glad he's back.
Does this have anything to do with Hangman's comment on Wednesday? That his friends were disappearing, and now
Mm-hmm.
one has come back.
One has returned.
Will the others soon follow?
Interesting comments by Hangman. I don't want to read too much into anything, not in terms of Hangman stuff, but interestingly enough, like, it kind of seems, let's just be real here, kind of seems that a certain individual from the fight is probably not going to be coming back to AEW anytime soon, because plus he's injured as well. And all these other wrestlers have been slowly kind of popping back up, and I'm like, no, there isn't a correlation here, but it's just interesting. And I don't know what it is. I remember when Stu Grayson left, they had said it was due to contract, right?
Hmm.
They couldn't figure something out. They couldn't
Right.
figure something out. I'm hoping that maybe the change in regime, Tony not being the be all and end all of it for everything, him having some help maybe encouraged him to come back, because maybe
Hmm.
he's seeing some change in the horizon now. Um, but yeah, regardless, I do I I'm I don't want to read into it too much because then I'm gonna let myself down. Because you're right, one came back, maybe the big names are gonna come back as well. But I don't want to read into that too much. But yeah, no, this is just great news. This is like the Dark Order were fun. And sorry, not were fun. They are fun. So when they started like dwindling, you're like, okay, so the three of you guys are Dark Order, the four of you guys are Dark Order. What's happening now? You guys are such a big group, right?
Right.
That has became comical now that the Dark Order literally, if it shrunk down back to two people and it wasn't Uno and Grayson, it wouldn't be the Dark Order anymore. Right. I think you
Right.
need those two guys there to at least have it as a Dark Order. So yeah, again, I'm just happy that Stu Grayson's back.
Yeah,
And
me too.
and his finishing moves like the fatality and stuff like that. Awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely awesome.
Because you bring in the main point there at the end too. The man is an incredible wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's fast. He's very good in the ring. We really enjoyed watching his matches. Another guy that we've seen live in Toronto, up close and personal. Very cool guy. Very friendly guy. So yeah, it's a very welcome sight to see a guy like that back in AEW because he was one of the guys we really highlighted when he left
Yeah.
because it was really unfortunate. So good. This is another positive
Positive
news
thing.
piece
Agreed.
for AEW. So that's good. More positive news, as we discussed last week, Mox's contract was renewed for extended for 5 years. But there was a line in it that was talking about, working only for promotions affiliated with AEW or promotions that they have an agreement with, that sort of thing. And we now have a little bit of clarification on what that means, apparently, thanks to, of course, Dave Meltzer. Apparently, what it means is the problem was that he was doing a lot of indie shows, right? And he was being advertised for them. And when he's hurt, he's the kind of guy that even if he's hurt and if he's on the bill and he was advertised for a show and people paid money to go see it, he's going to show up come hell or high water, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of problematic for Tony because he's like, you're hurt and we don't want to get you in that position again where you're hurt and banged up. It's not good for your health. And Moxley, of course, feels the same way, apparently. So from now on, any indie show he wants to do, he will not be advertised for it. It'll be like a surprise appearance.
Oh, that's kind of cool though.
Yep. And he can pull out then without a concern at all. So if he's not feeling well, if he's got a minor injury, he's taken care of, whatever, he can just pull out. Otherwise, he'll just be a surprise at a local indie show, right? So that's apparently the deal that they've worked out according to Meltzer. Now, if this were going to be run through my fact or fiction, I would have to say this is highly likely since it is coming from a fairly reputable source, but we have no evidence that this is exactly what that means in the contract. So take it with that grain of salt.
Fair enough.
Interestingly, Moxley also said he wouldn't advise anyone else to do a 5-year deal because, you might want to negotiate something smaller depending on your status, right? What he said was he negotiated a 5-year deal because he has no interest in going to WWE and no interest in pretending that he's going to get a better contract.
The more I hear about Jon Moxley, the more this guy speaks and the truth comes out. I'm like, John, you're awesome. We knew there was no way he wanted to go back to WWE, but hear it directly from him is another thing, right? So everyone's like, everyone's trying to jump ship, everyone wants to go back to WWE. Well, not everyone, right? As you can see now, not everyone. So it's funny that he just came out and said it. Hey, you know what? I'm here to stay. That's it. Like I have no intention of leaving in 2 years. So be it. He's here. No, this is great for AEW because it shows other wrestlers that, hey, it's not as bad as you're thinking or that you're hearing out there from the rumors and all that stuff, right? That it's like people like Moxley who's garnered a lot of respect from a lot of wrestlers now and just in the wrestling industry. He's willing to say Jericho's here. So it was like, it's not that bad, guys. Not that bad.
Well, no, exactly. And I mean, to be quite honest, in the last few weeks, there's been very little bad news about AEW.
No.
I mean, their television contract seems like it's going to go well. There's apparently reality programming now being developed around AEW. So it looks like even with the change to Warner Brothers, with what's happened with the whole problems that they had at All Out, in spite of all that, everything seems to be going quite well now, you know?
Mhm.
So,
Yeah,
hey, times are looking decent. They seem to be pulling through it. Let's hope they keep it up.
agreed, agreed.
So, something that we also have as a piece of good news, of course, is there was another Canadian with a special event this week. Would you like to fill us in, Krishna?
So, our boy, the god of wrestling himself, Mr. Kenny Omega, celebrated his 39th birthday on the 15th. So 2 days ago, on the 15th of was it no 15th or 16th? 16th, yesterday. Sorry. Yes, I'm looking at the dates. I'm getting mixed up. 16th, sorry, yesterday. His 39th birthday yesterday. And obviously tons of fans reaching out, wrestlers, celebrating the great one's birthday. Kenny's amazing. Here at One Wing Wrestling, we just want to say happy birthday, Kenny, or belated happy birthday, Kenny. You're fantastic. We can't wait for you to get back. Now, transitioning a little bit to again Dhanai's dirt sheet a little bit here. Let's transition a little bit here.
Do I not get to say happy birthday to Kenny first?
Fine, say happy birthday,
Thanks,
Bill.
Kenny. Happy birthday. And I hope when you say it's your 39th birthday, it's not like my wife's 39th birthday. Like, are you actually 39 or are you just permanently stuck at 39? But either way, happy birthday, my man.
Yeah, and 39. I'm a year older than this guy, and I'm like, I want to be his best friend. I just want to be his best friend because I just love everything this guy does and everything he represents. He's so awesome. Like he's just so cool, so cool. Like a quick story. I was at work one day. We were playing a game. What's if you could meet one person, dead or alive, at any time, just to meet that person and have a conversation and hang out with them for a while, who would it be and why? My answer was Kenny Omega. Like I said, you know what, guys? I thought this question was going to be really hard for me to answer, but this guy is just the coolest. And I would just love to meet him and have a conversation with him because you just see him so cool. So Kenny, if you're listening, we'd love to have you on the podcast. But and if I ever see you on the street, please, I apologize ahead of time for the hugs that may come towards you or anything like that. But you're absolutely awesome. So again, belated happy birthday.
Cool.
So again, transitioning to Dhanai's dirt sheet here. Bill, something didn't happen yesterday.
Okay, what didn't
during
happen?
Kenny's birthday?
What?
AEW did not post a happy birthday to Kenny Omega on their Twitter accounts. Now, personally, I'm offended, right? Personally, I'm offended. Because I get it. There obviously legal things that are going on. And even last week when Hangman Page kind of said, my old friends have disappeared. He was allowed to say his old friends, but he was not allowed to say Kenny Omega or the Bucks. He was not allowed to even mention their names. But is it that bad that we can't even wish the guy a happy birthday, Bill?
If this were any other time, well, let me ask you this. I'm not Mr. Social Media, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you this. Do they wish every one of their wrestlers happy birthday when it's their birthday on their Twitter account?
I think they wished like Fuego del Sol happy birthday like last month.
Okay, that's one, but I mean they have like 50 wrestlers under contract.
I think they do.
Like, do we have any evidence of this?
I believe we do have it of the AEW's wishing of happy birthdays. I believe they do.
Well, they said happy birthday to Taz 6 days ago.
Did they really?
Yes, they did. They said happy birthday to Tony Khan as well a couple days ago.
Anyways, the reason I brought that up was simply because obviously there was a lot of fan backlash in terms of AEW not wishing Kenny happy birthday. Of course, speculation is that Kenny's on the outs and stuff like that, but I strongly believe that all it is that due to the legal stuff that's happening right now, because they can't even say their names right now on TV, that's all it is. That's really all it is.
Okay, listen, people. All of you, I'm offended, AEW. I mean, look, the outrage machine in this world, you guys cranked it up to 10, apparently. I just did a quick look through Twitter, just searching AEW and birthday. Most of the top posts are a bunch of people going, oh, I can't believe it. AEW didn't wish Kenny Omega happy birthday. Okay, listen up, people. Take a deep breath. Look at the people who did wish him happy birthday. Go, hey, that's great. They wished him happy birthday. Do you know, Kenny Omega didn't wish me happy birthday on my birthday. Should I be offended? I realize that's not the same thing. Anyway, look, AEW is a company. Companies have to obey different rules than people. Companies have to care about legalities.
They do.
Companies have to care when there is an impartial third-person investigation going on. You got that, guys. Do you know what impartial means? It means the company can't take sides. Now, if they post Kenny Omega's birthday, how does that look to CM Punk's side?
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And they're
exactly.
in the middle of an impartial investigation. It doesn't matter if us as fans are all like, come on, just bring the elite back. We don't care about anything else. That's just us as fans. That's a company with legal contracts, legal issues, and a workplace violence investigation going on. You know, in any other company, that is some really serious stuff. Okay. People are always, oh, why? I can't believe it's taking so long. Why aren't they wishing him happy? People, it is a workplace violence investigation. These things can take a year. Okay. A year. So we might as well all get real comfortable and just learn to relax and wait it out. And that until such time as the results of the investigation are in, you will not hear AEW mention any of the parties that are currently under investigation. That doesn't mean they dislike them. Doesn't mean they hate them. It doesn't mean they're offending them. It doesn't mean they're disrespecting them. It means they're following what they have to do as a company in their legal universe. Does that suck? Sure. But you know what? I'll bet Tony Khan would have loved to have sent out a tweet wishing Kenny Omega a happy birthday. You know that? And I'll bet when it's CM Punk's birthday, he would love to do the same thing. Because he's that kind of guy, it looks like. He can't do either one. AEW can't do either one. We're very sorry, people, but this is a non-issue. But I realize it's been a slow news week. So you gotta come up with something to click the clicks, right?
4 days ago, AEW wished Don Callis happy birthday.
Yes, they did, but he's not suspended.
He's not suspended. And lastly, Tony Khan had an interview with Ariel Helwani recently.
Mm-hmm.
Ariel Helwani has gone on record saying that was one of the most frustrating interviews he's ever had to conduct. Well, it was frustrating because he kept asking about the backstage brawl, and Tony Khan just kept saying, you know, you can ask, but I can't answer it. Can't answer it. So Ariel asked him, you know, I like, do we have an issue? Like me and you, like, are you mad at me for something? And Tony Khan was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, I thought you were gonna you were angry at the whole MGF thing when MGF came on here, and Tony Khan's like, no, I was never angry at you. He's like, he goes, we have some protocols that, you know, all we want is to have all potential interviews run by us first. We didn't know what was happening. That's all it was. He's like, that's all. He goes, this had nothing to do with you. And he's like, he goes, we have our PR person. They run it by you guys. And then he gave the PR person's name, and Ariel's like, who's that? He's like, oh, you don't know. He's like, okay, I'll get you guys in contact. But he's like, no, he has no issue against you. It's just basically, you know, we have protocol to follow. But Ariel Helwani was upset about this, and obviously the fans were like, you know, there's nothing here. Like, you literally asked the same question. I get it. As a reporter, you have a job. You have to ask certain questions, but people don't have to answer it. Like, just move on. And I watched the interview, and I mean, like 10 minutes of him just asking the same thing. And Tony Khan didn't break. He just kept saying, you know, I understand you have to ask, but please understand that I can't say anything about this, right? Very, very, like, you know, professional about it. So I don't know why Ariel Helwani even needed to say it was frustrating. Like, everyone watched it and they saw the context of it. So I don't understand what is happening.
Well, I think I heard Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez talk about this on the Observer podcast. And I think Dave put it the best when he just said, Ariel is used to the MMA world where people are a little more
Mm,
forthcoming and they have a little more access. And, Tony Khan tries to put himself in that, Dana White model.
yeah.
But, and then Brian Alvarez mentioned, it's true. But, you ask the question once because you got to ask it. And the guy's going to say he can't talk about it. And then you move on and you talk about something else. You don't keep coming back because he's clearly not going to answer the question. All right. And
Mhm,
they talked a bit about awkward interviews and stuff, but he just was like, it might have something to do with the fact that he's a little more used to a slightly different universe than
mhm.
dealing with, the Tony Khans and wrestling promoters of the world. So I think that's a fair comment. I mean, it probably wasn't Ariel Hawani's best day, but I mean, he's a really respected and really
Mhm.
good journalist. So, that's fine. He had an off day with one guy. That's completely fine too. I'm not going to rake him over the coals for it. The man has had so many great interviews. It's not even funny. And, you know, Tony Khan can be frustrating. On the other hand, maybe not ask him the question. So this is just one of those things where I think you had two guys embroiled in a situation. I haven't seen the interview myself, so I have no idea how it went.
Yeah.
But to me, it just sounded like two guys just not quite seeing eye to eye during the interview, and that happens.
Yeah, and that's what I thought too. I was like, Tony Khan, I get what he's doing. He went on an interview. Ariel Hawani is trying to get stuff out of him. You just can't get anything out. Like like funny because the MJF interview, he actually tried to get some information. MJF's like, I'm not talking about that stuff. So you can ask me anything else, but I'm not gonna. And he never did. He has never asked him about it. So I don't really understand the digging that happened with that. But speaking of like Tony Khan, yesterday I was on Twitter and I got fooled by this too. And I said, "Oh my God, what the heck? There's a match happening today. This next Wednesday." I'm like,
Oh,
it's
not
Orange
this.
Cassidy
I saw
Orange,
this today.
yeah,
Yeah.
Orange Cassidy versus Minoru Suzuki. And when I read it, I'm like, Tony Khan, what are you doing? And then I'm like, Tommy Khan, that's not Tony Khan. And then you read it, and I'm like, oh, okay, it's a fake. It's fake. So I wasn't gonna bring this up, but today I was reading about it some more, and apparently it fooled a few people. This account, it
Mm-hmm.
fooled Minoru Suzuki, who retweeted
Mm-hmm.
it, and New Japan Pro Wrestling, who retweeted
Yes.
it as well.
Yeah. 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 All this tells me is one, people pay way too much attention to social media.
Oh
People,
yeah.
social media is not the real world. It's like this strange little world off to the side that kind of has its own life, but it's not necessarily reality. It can be a little fantasy gumball fairy world that we talk about occasionally here on One Winged Wrestling. So, yeah, guys, my only hint to all of you is when you see something, always stop. Even if you have this great, oh my God, Minoru Suzuki versus Orange Cassidy. Can't wait to see that match. Oh, wait a second. Stop, look, analyze, then react. Don't go nuts first, because if you go nuts first, then you're going to place yourself in the same position as, to give a Marvel example, Marvel fans watching WandaVision going, oh my God, Quicksilver, mutants are in the MCU,
And then nothing.
and then nothing. So, like, let's keep that in mind, people. Even companies who have the product will try to swerve us occasionally. So, how much more so trolls? There are
Yeah,
trolls everywhere, and Twitter
agreed.
is a massive bridge they all hide under.
Agreed. And
Yes.
that's it. Those are all the stories I had for this week. Not a
Ooh.
busy story week.
Well, I got a couple for you still.
All right. Okay, let's go.
Remember OWE?
Mm-hmm.
Oriental Wrestling Entertainment. We went and saw their shows here in Toronto, which,
Mm-hmm.
their combined shows with AEW. They did August 2019, I believe it was. Well, I have finally found out as I did a little digging because I was just curious today. I went, whatever happened to OWE? Well, it doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Apparently, what happened was in October 2019, Meltzer reported that OWE was moving out of China to relaunch in Cambodia. The company was apparently spending a lot of money and getting support from the Chinese government, but had no way to make money because there's no financial market for Chinese TV or any way to make money for live shows. So all the staff and wrestlers moved on in 2019. Shima announced that he was going to try to, restart it in Cambodia. But then there were just crickets. And in March 2021, Shima, T-Hawk, and Al Lindemann have moved on to the new GLEAT promotion in Japan. That's GLEAT, all in capitals. Fairly new promotion in Japan, and the three of them have been wrestling for it ever since.
Interesting. Didn't
Yep.
I haven't heard about from them or about them in a long time. I haven't even seen SEMA on AEW TV or any Western TV recently at all. The last time I saw T-Hawk, I think it was on AEW. I think he had tagged with SEMA. And El Lindemann, I don't even think I've seen him on AEW TV ever. Right. So I remember seeing, we remember seeing all three of them live at the OWE event. Right.
Right.
So that's weird. I just assumed it was still ongoing, indie stuff and stuff like that, but I didn't know it had gone under.
It's hard to figure out, and it's not totally certain that it's completely under, because I mean, look, their Twitter account still sits there. They just haven't tweeted anything since like 2019. Right. All their shows are still listed on all the various channels where you can get them. Just nothing new since 2019. Right. It's like the promotion's there in limbo as opposed to completely and utterly dead. But for all intents and purposes, the main people who are involved in sort of promoting it and making it happen work for another promotion now. So that's a pretty strong sign there's not much left except maybe a name in Cambodia.
Yeah, weird. That's interesting. I just assumed they were chugging along as a little mini indie promotion. That kind of sucks that they're gone, because they came to Toronto quite frequently, right? So yeah, that kind of sucks. Well, hopefully SEMA and T-Hawk and Lindemann and stuff like that, like hopefully they were able to bring that promotion to Toronto. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing them live again. And hopefully they show up on like some AEW shows or New Japan shows or whatever, because I think they're good. They're really good wrestlers. I didn't think anything of that, because I was like, oh, they've gone under, really? Like, you hear news about this stuff. I don't remember seeing anything about this.
No, it was hard for me to find.
Right. So
I mean, it really was. I had to do some look, I had to dig through all of the past issues of the newsletter, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. It was kind of tough to find, but it's good. It's good that at least Shima, T-Hawk, and Al Lindemann have found somewhere to wrestle again. So that's good news. I mean, they're all quite good. So, and I look forward to seeing if they'll pop up somewhere.
Yeah.
Since I can't exactly watch GLEAT. At least I'm not sure where I could watch GLEAT. Anyway, I have a little bit of news for New Japan, and then we can move on to our highlights for the week.
Sure.
So the main event has now been set for Wrestle Kingdom, with Kazuchika Okada taking on Jay White after Okada won a match against Jonah on Declaration of Power. If Jonah had won that, it would have put him in the match, making it a triple threat. But Okada won, and now it's just Okada and White. And they're billing that basically as like New Japan tradition following, all of Wrestle Kingdom has now been dedicated to the memory of Antonio Inoki. Okay. And Okada seems to be his heir apparent and like is dedicating the fight, etc., to the spirit of Antonio Inoki, and that this is a fight for the spirit of New Japan. So Jay White's pretty much losing the title. I don't think there's a chance in heck he's holding on to it, but yeah. We also have coming up on November 5th, we've got Naito taking on Ospreay for the IWGP US title, and what should be, given the little flashes we've seen from them when they're in the ring together, an amazing match. And finally, there is a television title tournament going on. Now, this is a new title that New Japan just introduced. It's supposed to be focused on new, young talent that don't normally get the big matches. They're doing it in kind of an old NWA championship, Stardom high-speed championship thing, where every match has a time limit of 15 minutes. So you got to win in under 15 minutes, every match. And all the title matches will air free on New Japan World. So you don't even need the subscription. You can just go to New Japan World and watch them. The winner of the tournament will be crowned at Wrestle Kingdom 17. The tournament is ongoing. We have 6 people who have advanced so far. So remember, this is for new, young talent. Okay. Here's the 6 that have advanced. Okay. Zack Sabre Jr., age 35.
Okay. Yep.
Veteran. Yoshihashi, an established veteran. Evil, an established veteran.
Oh my God.
Kenta, 41 years old.
Yeah, I was gonna say Kenta's pretty old.
Sanada in his mid-30s,
Oh my
also
God.
established veteran in New Japan. And the youngest guy to advance so far, David Finlay at 29 years of age.
So this is supposed to be helping the young stars?
Apparently, yes. I mean, because all these guys who really need a big push, like Yoshihashi and
Zack Sabre
Sanada
Jr.
and Zack Sabre Jr. Yeah, they haven't had enough time in New Japan to become established stars.
It's funny, you know what? They should have just used young lions in here, right? You'd assume they would just use the young lions and be like,
No.
we're gonna give these guys a shot and see who's the best out of the the young guys.
Well, they do that every year. It's called the Young Lions Cup.
Oh, okay. So, but they don't have the belts, right?
No, they
It's
have a
the
cup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think they could challenge each other, kind of that kind of thing. Yeah, that's kind of weird. I mean, maybe it's lost in translation. I have no idea what this is
Well,
doing, but
I have a sneaking feeling this is still being set up for Ren Narita to win that belt.
to win it because he's
Yeah.
gonna go through. Yeah.
And I mean, then that you do have a brand new younger guy who's coming
Up-and-comer.
up, just finished his excursion,
Fair
just
enough.
came back to
Fair enough.
Japan. So if he wins the belt, then hey, great. But right now it's like, oh, look at all these established stars winning, except David Finlay's kind of an up and comer. He's a little older than you'd expect for
Hope
someone
Kenta
young.
wins. Go Kenta.
Kenta, 41 years. Yes.
41-year-old Kenta.
41-year-old Kenta. I don't think he's going to win. I would like to see Zack Sabre Jr. with it personally.
Exactly.
Anyway, so that is our news of the week. And now we will bring you our highlights. So, matches of the week. What do you got for us that you think that our listeners might really enjoy heading out and watching this week?
Matches of the week. I literally just typed this down and I closed it. There we go. So matches of the week. All right. Let's see what I don't actually have this list in order. So I'll read them out.
Sure.
First match of the week that I think people should go and see. Because I know I jumped the gun a little bit last week when I was talking about Dark, but I'll try to correct it now. If you can, I would say, because I have like 6 matches on here. Why did I write? No, 4 matches. Sorry, I'm gonna shorten this. Okay, I'm gonna say go out first off and watch QT Marshall. This is on Dark from last week. QT Marshall. I know I started off with QT Marshall here versus Action Andretti. Now that name, Bill. Remember that name. That name is he's gonna be big. This match was fun. Like this Action Andretti guy, he reminds me of Dante Martin. Now I said that, and then I watched the Dante Martin match, and I was like, this guy is absolutely nuts. But Action Andretti is not that, like, he's not like crazy away from Dante Martin. He's a high flyer.
Mm-hmm.
He's really fast, and it seems like he can cut a promo.
Oh yeah.
Because after he lost, so spoiler alert, everyone, he loses to QT Marshall, but he actually cuts a little promo backstage, like that. He thanks the fans and he's like, this is not the last time you've seen Action Andretti, and his whole thing is he is the sight to see, Action Andretti, right? And I'm like, this guy is actually pretty good. Like he was really fast, like it was really clean. And it looks like he's only been wrestling for a couple years. So I'm like, yeah. I was trying to, that's the problem. I've been trying to find things about him. And it looks like he's been only wrestling since like 2000 and from what I found, he's only been wrestling since 2017.
Oh
18?
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's not that long. Like he's had, so I'm reading basically the Internet Wrestling Database, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now they may not be up to date and stuff like that, but like literally he's had 27 matches, 2 pay-per-view matches. And like he's like literally, I'm looking through it, like he lost against QT Marshall, but QT caught him in a diamond cutter off the ropes. I was holy crap. It was a good, and QT had sent his guys, he's like, I got this, guys, I got this, go. And one thing I must point out, QT Marshall promoting everybody now. Remember we talked about this on Dynamite where he's like, really? War Joe, and he tried to get the crowd. He actually went on and he's like, okay, So your name is Action Andretti. All right, buddy. What do you want? Everyone chant action. Come on, everyone. Let's chant action. And they started chanting with it, right? So again, if I actually have Action Andretti in 2 matches this week, and I was trying to figure out which one I wanted to say. If you wanted to see purely him wrestling, Action Andretti versus QT Marshall in Dynamite, great match. And if you wanted to see more of him, he actually teams with Myles Hawkins, and they face off against Nese and Woods, so Tony Nese and Woods.
Yeah.
And just for the short time he's in the match, you can tell there's and shout out to Nese and Woods. They're a pretty good tag team. Like I'm watching them, like I never really see them wrestle, but they're really good tag team. So I'm like, if you guys, so the Nese, if you're interested in the Nese and Woods match versus Andretti and Myles Hawkins, that's on Elevation. So watch that.
Sweet.
And if you're looking for like just see Action Andretti on his own,
yeah,
watch it on Dark. It was actually a pretty good match. I was actually surprised. I'm like, wow, QT's doing really well here. As like I keep forgetting QT Marshall is a trainer. I keep forgetting this, and he's really good himself. So just like the bumps he takes and how he dishes, like it is really, really good. So those are 2, and I was actually just saying those are 2 that I kind of am promoting to go out and watch. A third one is and I was originally going to give this to like Matt Sydal and Dante Martin versus Aaron Solo and Cole Carter from Dark last week, but I watched the Dalton Castle and the boys versus I actually watched both matches versus I'll give this one Goldie, Brett Walters, and Logan LaRue from Elevation. And I've never seen them wrestle before. And I remember I talked to you yesterday, and I'm like, Bill, did you see on Rampage that Dalton Castle came out and challenged Chris Jericho? And you were like, yeah, but Dalton Castle's amazing. And yes. I'm like, okay, I've never seen him wrestle. I don't know. I watched it, and it was pretty good. Like I must say, like I already gave a high flying act already a thumbs up this week. So I'm like, you know what, Dante, I'm gonna shift this one a little to the left, but yeah, if you can watch the trios match, it's well done. The boys are pretty good. Like they're twins, apparently. I didn't even know like they're twins. And they were called something else before. Like that's what Excalibur was saying. They were called something else, but now they're called the boys, right? But entertaining match. Dalton Castle is as a personality on his own. Like I don't like it's so odd, but it's good. So if you have a chance, watch the match. Like the one thing I love about AEW is they give the no-name people that are fighting actually some time to shine a little bit in every match they fight, which I've never saw in WWE. So these 3 guys, they also have a little bit of time to shine, but Dalton Castle's really good, and the boys, they're really good as well. So if you have a chance, those are my 3 matches of the week.
Those are some good show. I haven't seen any of those matches, so they are now shortlisted, and I'll be checking them out because those all sound excellent. And I mean, I love the fact that they're slowly bringing these like really good Ring of Honor stables and people into AEW, the ones that I think deserve more spotlight. I mean, and now we have Maria Kanellis, Mike Bennett, and I can't remember the other guy's name, and I should. Oh, but the Kingdom.
The Kingdom, yes.
And I mean, there is another group that when I first saw them at not the Mattamy Center, but the little ring where I saw the Ring of Honor show. Yeah, where I saw the Bucks and I saw AJ Styles and Adam Cole and that kind of stuff. They were there as well, and quite good. So it's nice to see them. Now, I mean, Mike Bennett was totally wasted when he joined. Do you remember that brief stint that he spent in WWE?
I do, because I remember him chasing the 24/7 championship, and then the whole point was he was being yelled at his wife the entire time. That was
because they wouldn't let him use his name. They called him Mike Kanellis.
Yeah.
Exactly. It was just ridiculous. Anyway, I'm glad he's here, and he'll be hopefully treated a little better. So yeah, those are some solid matches. Okay, so I have 3 matches as well. Sweet. The first one comes to us from New Japan Strong this week, and it was Danny Limelight and JR Kratos, who are part of Team Filthy, taking on Aussie Open, who are the champions, Mark Davis and Kyle Fletcher, for the NJPW Strong Openweight Tag Team Championship. This was a solid match that knew when to turn up the heat. Right? It
Nice.
was the kind of match that started off, they were testing each other. And I mean, if you don't know JR Kratos, big guy.
Okay.
Okay, like
Yeah.
he's huge, right? And his tag team partner is quite good and like a little smaller and a little more agile, right? And then of course you've got Aussie Open, and we know how good they are. So there was a lot of good back and forth in this match at first. And then, man, when they cranked it up and it went to another gear, it was just crazy. You had a springboard Canadian destroyer by Limelight to Fletcher, like springboard destroyer. It was just crazy. And then after that, JR Kratos, this huge guy, right?
Mhm.
Does a running senton off of the apron to the outside on poor Mark Davis on the
Oh,
outside.
no.
Yeah, and then a frog splash by Limelight for a huge near fall. Like it looked fairly convincing. I mean, I didn't really think Aussie Open was going to drop the tag titles here,
Mhm.
but it looked pretty convincing. Then there were some great double teams by Aussie Open and Kratos, some dual elbow strikes, and into their Coriolis to Limelight for the 3 count. So, Aussie Open comes out on top, but man, this match showcased all 4 guys really well, and it continues to mean for me that New Japan Strong is a must-see show every week. There was a pretty good title match on it too, but not
Oh.
quite good enough to
Mm.
hit my top 3.
Okay.
But again, it was Fred Rosser defending his title again against Dickinson. Can't remember his Chris Dickinson. It was more of a hard hitting sort of that kind of style match, so it was good,
Nice.
but not great. But greatness. I mean, if you're not going to mention Kenny Omega, you can certainly mention Kazuchika Okada.
That's
And he
right.
took on Jonah of the Mighty Don't Kneel, TMDK faction in New Japan. This is like a second match between them since the G1, right? In the G1, Okada's only loss was to Jonah, who beat him with the torpedo off the top rope. Basically, this massive guy,
Mhm.
it's like a splash off the top rope that he calls the torpedo. Okay. And he hit Okada with that in the G1 and pinned him, because
Oh,
if
wow.
he hits the torpedo, it's going to basically crush you into the mat. This guy's big. Anyway, they had a match. This was Okada trying to sort of get back his loss, but at the same time, if Jonah won this match, then he was going to be placed into the main event at Wrestle Kingdom with Okada and Jay White. So no one's been able to stop Jonah. He has yet to be pinned in New Japan up to this point.
Mhm.
And there were some scary looking moments in this one. I was telling you yesterday about the lift up into the crucifix bomb position
Yep.
that Jonah did to Okada outside the ring, and then ran down the aisle with him in that position and threw him into the ring post, like his back and head hitting the ring post. It was just nuts. It looked like Okada was dead. Um, it was a really solid, like, big guy trying to take down, and Okada, of course, fighting from underneath for the first half of the match, but then he ends up going for Jonah's leg, right? And he works that leg like crazy. I mean, this is not fast paced. This
Mhm.
is not going to be high flyers. This isn't Dante Martin wrestling. This was story. This whole match was story from start to finish, right? Because it's Okada trying to get that win, trying to take down the big guy who's never been beaten in New Japan, and it's Jonah just trying to get that spot in the finals, right? And what happens? Well, Okada keeps working the leg, but Jonah keeps getting up. I mean, it was a whole series of moves that were done near the end that were just insane. I mean, all these dodged rainmakers and stuff.
Mhm.
Like, it just looked like Jonah was doing so well. And then the moment came when Jonah had him set up perfectly for the torpedo, but because the leg had been worked on, he couldn't quite
Oh,
get to the
no.
top fast enough, and Okada was able to capitalize on his slowness. You know, 3 rainmakers. So then there was a drop kick. I mean, his third rainmaker missed. He did a drop kick, landslide, rainmaker, and finally managed to pin Jonah for the first time in New Japan. It was, and like I said, this is not going to be something that you're going to be sitting there going, oh my God, look how fast they're going. Oh, wow. Like all those acrobatic things. This is the kind of match you watch and go, damn, what a story. All right. Like, just so
Nice.
well
Nice.
told, so well done. And now Okada's in the main event by himself against Jay White. Sorry, Jay. My last match, of course, involves the 1B to the 1A, Mr. Will Ospreay. It was actually a 4-way match. And the reason why I picked this match, this is not going to be match of the year. Okay.
Mhm.
This is probably, if you're going to start 3-star, 3.5 at best. Okay. It's not going to be match of the year, but it has two things in it that were great. And the reason why I'd recommend watching it. One, you get to see all of these different really good wrestlers going at it together. And two, it then follows up with one of the absolute worst moments in wrestling I've seen all year. So I will explain. This had Ospreay's team, United Empire, Aaron Henare, who's like their big guy, Francesco, Akira, and TJP, who are the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions. And my God, are they good? I wrote down literally in my notes, these guys are a Krishna style tag team because they're so fast, they're so good. They do that junior heavyweight style so well, and it's incredible. And you had them out there with Lord Gideon Gray, who's like the financier manager for United Empire. He just looks like this slimy British lord guy. And they're taking on Los Ingobernables de Japan, which is Bushi, Hiromu Takahashi, Tetsuya Naito, and Sanada. Sanada recently victorious in the television title tournament. Anyway, the moments that Naito was in the ring with Ospreay were insane. Insane. It's like they're teasing us for their match in November. They weren't in the ring too often together. They were in the ring at the beginning for a little bit, and then right at the after the match when Ospreay was putting his belt in Naito's face and getting all up in him, and then Naito just kicks him in the balls. Yeah, it was pretty funny. But then so that ended. Ospreay put the belt in his face, gets kicked through the garage, and then Naito just tosses the belt back to him after taunting him with it for a bit, and United Empire leaves. But the match ended with this masked guy interfering on behalf of, like, it was an interruption finish, right? Which is another reason why I say, it goes from having all these great moments with TJP and Akira, and like there's just so much good wrestling in this match. And then it ends with this masked dude coming out and interfering. The reveal of this masked dude was one of the worst moments I've seen wrestling this year. Because first he's there and he starts to take the mask off, and he kind of takes the mask off, and then he stops and he looks over at Los Ingobernables de Japan as if looking to them for approval to take the mask off. And then, and it went on and on. And it's like, dude, just take the mask off. So at this point, big reveal, right? Big reveal. Who was under that mask?
Who was under the mask?
You ready? Because you're going to have the same reaction as the fans in Japan had when this happened.
All right.
It was Titan from CMLL. Krishna's just rocking back and forth, looking at the mic, going, "What?"
All right. Okay. Is the did AEW book that big reveal or something?
It sounds like a Tony Khan big moment, eh?
Were they the Joker? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah,
now?
I know. Well, it was kind of like that, right? So he takes the mask off to have it because he's a luchador, so he's got another mask on underneath that mask anyway, and so he looks over at them, and then Los Ingobernables had to vote to let him into their group. So they all like raised their arms up with the fist. And then when all four of them finally put their arms up, Tetsuya Naito, the leader, was the last to put his hand up. Then he came over and put his fist with theirs, meaning he's the first non-Japanese person to ever be a member of Los Ingobernables de Japan.
Okay. Maybe it's a big thing, but
Titan is good.
Yeah, but that was a stupid reveal. Like,
it was terrible. I mean, it took so long. It took longer than me describing it to you right now to get it done. It was just crazy long. Anyway, yeah. So the 20 years for him to get a mic. I mean, that was even worse too, because he asked for a mic and he's on the wrong end of the ring. In the arena they're in, they had corded mics.
Yeah.
And watching the young lions try to get a mic around to him, I'm like, come on. Like and he won't move. He's just standing in that corner of the ring going, I want my mic, needs a mic. And he's just standing there forever. Like, he started to take the mask off, then he calls for a mic, then it's just, okay, we get it. This is the worst reveal in history. It was fairly comedic though, so I'll give it that much.
All right. At least that happened.
Yeah, exactly. So those were my 3 matches of the week.
Nice. Okay. But you know me. Anything with Will Ospreay, I'm interested in. So it sounds like a good match.
Yep.
No, that's good. 3 matches that I would never have known about.
Exactly. There you go. So that brings us to our match of the week, which also includes Dynamite. So what do you have for us this week, Krishna?
So, I think I'm still, like, even though the matches that I said earlier were great, were good matches, like matches to check out because they're fun. I still think at the end of the day, like my match of the week has to go to Pac versus Orange Cassidy. And yes, I know it's gonna be that Pac won his first belt and stuff like that. But sorry, Pac. I mean Orange Cassidy won his first belt. Forgot Pac is a 2-time AEW champion, guys. But dual champ, sorry, the first ever dual champion AEW. But yeah, it was so long overdue. Orange Cassidy and Pac are just they're such fantastic wrestlers. Again, as I said, Pac I think is one of the most perfect wrestlers I've seen. Right, just by the way his wrestling technique, the way he sells, everything like it's just like he's such a jerk about everything. So cool. And Orange Cassidy, like you can't say anything different about him. Like he's so athletic. This whole hands in his pocket thing, his character. I don't know if there's one person I've seen who's never broken that I don't care kind of character, and I'll just do it kind of thing. Like everything about him is just so like he's the type of person that drives Jim Cornette insane, absolutely insane. And I love Orange Cassidy. So just these two going at it, put on a fantastic match. The right person won, and that's it. So my match of the week is Orange Cassidy versus Pac for the All Atlantic Championship.
That, Krishna, is a great choice. And I'll tell you why it's a great choice.
Why?
Because all I have to say is ditto.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That was also my match of the week. Now, I'll just add that interview after he won the belt that didn't actually make it on Dynamite, but if you search YouTube for Orange Cassidy post thing, yes. The best part was when he sends Chris Statlander out with his backpack, because he's like, you guys know I don't like carrying things. So he's going to carry the title around in a backpack.
But remember, that's what I said. Remember what I said? When Orange Cassidy wins the belt, how is he going to walk around with that belt? Right? This is the guy that asked Excalibur, how do you win the ladder match? The casino battle, right? He's like, and he lays the ladder on flat in the ground and decides to try to jump up to get the so I love it. I absolutely love it because I'm honestly, if he walks down with his backpack and the belt's in the backpack still, I mean, like, this is awesome. This is awesome. This is just so Orange Cassidy, or just casually holding the belts, right? So he's so cool. Like he's just so awesome.
And shout out to Pac for yet another insanely amazing match. No one sells like him when they get the orange punch.
Oh my God.
I mean, thanks to Pac. I mean, he just put him over so well, and the storytelling this match was so good. Easily match of the week this week. There was not a lot of competition elsewhere for me from what I watched. I have tons to catch up on, guys. But if those make it, that'll be on next week's show.
Yeah, and as Bill and I talked about last week, Triple Mania was this weekend. We haven't had a chance to watch it. So when I watch it, you know what? Maybe there were matches there that I've seen some highlights of some stuff, right? So maybe there were matches that could have, but you know what? Like, as AEW fans, as watching one of the AEW originals, basically, because Pac came and Pac. I mean, Orange Cassidy came in a little bit later, not that much.
Yep.
I'm so happy for him. I'm so happy that he got that championship. I mean, at this point, it was any championship. Now we need to get Jungle Boy a championship. We need to get MJF a championship. Like, these guys, these pillars, even like Britt's had it. Come on, let's be real. Britt's had it already. But the pillars of AEW need to get some championship gold on them now.
Yep, absolutely. And of course, that brings us then to, who is your wrestler of the week?
Well, I think this is kind of obvious. I mean, if you listen to what we just said about the match of the week, I can't not give, like, I was debating, do I give it to Andretti? He's fairly new, but I'm like, you know what, this kid, he's got some, again, as I'm reading here, 47 matches. He's got quite some time, right, to evolve. So my wrestler of the week, Orange Cassidy. That's all I'm going to say. This, like, deservingly who wins the belt. It's about time. He's one of those guys, like, remember we talked about this, where, why is Orange Cassidy losing so much? You know why? Because Orange Cassidy does what's needed to be done, right?
Yep.
If he's booked, and guess what? He's booked to lose the next 10 matches. Guess what he's going to do? he's gonna go out there and do his job, right? So I respect that. If he deserves this like any belt at this point, and I'm just happy for him and his crew, his cronies, the best friends as well, right?
100%. And you know what? I'm going to go the opposite direction with mine and say Pac is my wrestler of the week.
Ooh, okay,
Yep.
okay,
Simply because of how good he was in that match, how well he played his character in
fair
that
enough.
match. And, it gives a nice counterpoint. You're going to say Orange Cassidy. I'm going to say Pac. And we
Oh,
both picked the match as match of the week. So there
yep,
you go. Because Pac was incredible.
he was.
Facial expressions, selling, moves, just all the right stuff at all the right time. Sometimes I don't think he gets enough credit
No,
for
definitely
really
not.
how good this guy is. Like just stellar, stellar wrestling talent. So,
Remember, this guy legitimately beat Kenny Omega
yes,
in a fantastic match. So
absolutely.
so we have to remember how good Pac is and how wasted he was elsewhere.
Precisely. And at least we have a new man, Gravity Forgotten. It doesn't have to be Neville anymore, right?
It's just true.
Yes.
Dante, we got you. We got you.
Yeah, exactly. Orange Cassidy, Pac, Orange Cassidy versus Pac. If you guys haven't watched this week's Dynamite, just to watch that match, because, if you go back and listen to our review, it's
Yeah.
maybe not the greatest Dynamite on the face of the planet, but that last match,
Oh,
check
fantastic.
that one out for sure. It's a can't miss. Anyway, do you have any final thoughts for us today, Krishna?
Final thoughts for today. No, what? Again, like the stories, we had really not much to say this week, right? Pretty quiet week, but a pretty exciting Dynamite coming up. So I don't know about everyone else, but I am excited for that certain match coming up because Bill, we may not have touched on it because we didn't really talk too much about Dynamite, but the John Moxley promo he cut on Hangman Page when he passed the mic off to Claudio and said, "Tell Hangman what's going to happen," right?
Right.
And he says, like, "Boy, you better step up," right? And I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking to myself, is Hangman going to win that belt tomorrow? It's
We
set up.
shall
We
see.
shall see. So
Yep.
I'm excited for tomorrow.
Yep. Oh, yeah. It's going to be a great match. I am also excited for tomorrow. Can't wait. Yeah, Mox is just amazing. What they've done between Mox and Hangman here is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I yeah, I cannot wait for that match. I can't wait to see what they do with it. There really is a feel that the title could change hands.
Mm-hmm.
It's epic. It's Mox's hometown. Could lose the title if it's done right. I mean, it's just there's so many ways this could go. And you're right. That is definitely something to look forward to for tomorrow.
For tomorrow.
That is correct. And of course, we will, as always, be predicting Dynamite and we will also be reviewing Dynamite. Though I will caution you, there will be a small delay in the release of that podcast this week, and you can blame me.
It's all good. It's all good. I also may be away for a little bit tomorrow, so it doesn't really work out that well. But you know what, everyone, you will still get our podcast as normally scheduled.
Yes,
It's not our fault.
precisely.
AEW decide to change their schedule.
What's up with that, man? Did they not check with us first?
Yeah,
Sheesh.
jeez, Tony.
Lord. Anyway, well, that about wraps up the news weekly or whatever we're calling this thing. What am I? Wrestling weekly, one winged wrestling weekly.
We'll figure it out.
I don't know. We
cool
come
name
here
for
once a
it.
week and we talk about some wrestlers, right? I mean, it's
Yeah,
pretty
talk about
great.
news. The news.
Yeah. We could just call it the Pretty Great Show.
Yeah, exactly.
It's pretty great.
Bill and Krishna's awesome show.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. I like that. Bill and Krishna's awesome show. Yeah. Okay, cool. But right now, though, as the true great one always says, goodbye, everybody, and good night. Bang.
Good night, everyone.